Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be reviewing the Magicshine RN3000 bike front headlight. If there's one thing you can count on, it's advancements in lithium ion and LED technology, bringing down the cost of batteries and increasing light output. Case in point is the new Magicshine RN3000 bike front light, which is the topic of the review today. In terms of packaging, it's pretty simple. You have the little abstract bike graphic on here, RN3000 printed, and this nice cardboard box. It's pretty sturdy and a good way to travel with it. All the specs are on the back, as well as the ratings and then the waterproofing. I'll go ahead and take it out of the box and we'll go over the specs. Retail price on this is $159.99, and it offers an impressive 3,000 lumens despite its all-in-one design. That means you don't need any clunky batteries or additional battery or power sources to run the light. It has a dual LED design with a little horizontal deflector here designed to reduce glare. And it has a 10,000 milliamp battery that's supplied by two 21750 battery cells integrated into the lens housing. One of the brightest and most powerful lights, all-in-one lights Magicshine has currently offered. It has USB Type-C charging, which actually lets you do a fast charge on this and also use it to charge other devices as a power bank. And it has the Magicshine Garmin mount, which means you can use this with a variety of out and front mounts right out of the box. In terms of what you get in the box, you get the light, and it's a little bit chunkier than other Magicshine lights due to the battery size. And if we open this up, you get their little handlebar mount. Now this is something we've seen with a lot of their newer lights. It's a Garmin base with a little bolt, and that's designed to adjust the tension and handle different handlebar diameters. You have a little USB-C charging cable, the little Allen key to loosen and tighten this mount, instruction manual, and then we also have different strap lengths. So you can see you can handle aero handlebars, smaller mountain bike handlebars, or even different variations by just swapping out the actual strap. Now let's take a look at the weight of the light. Obviously it's a lot larger because of the high battery capacity. So the light itself comes in at 278. And then the little mount with the standard strap length, that's pretty light at only 14 grams. Now let's go over the fit and finish of the Magicshine RN3000. This is one of Magishine's brightest all-in-one lights and offers that impressive 3,000 lumens and 10,000 milliamp battery built into this nice compact form factor. Now you'll see this is quite large actually. It looks very similar to other Magicshine products like the Allty and RN series, but it's much larger due to the big battery cells in here. You get the same aluminum housing, so it looks really premium and feels premium. Little heat fins built on the side, and very minimal branding, just have Magicshine on top, RN3000 on the side. On the top of the light, you have a one-button interface, and you can see it has a back illumination, so really easy to check your battery status and cycle through modes. A dual LED design here, and you can see they're very subtly different. The right deflector has a little more indentations on it. That lets it diffuse the light a little bit more. And you'll see these lines running across the light. That helps diffuse the light downward. So it's more like a soft beam cutoff and reduces the glare when you're riding and helps put more light in front of the bike instead of in the trees. You also notice a little cutout here, and that's to help side visibility when you're riding. So you can see if I turn the light on, it actually illuminates a little bit. So even though you're not in front of the light, you can see some of the light. On the bottom, you have the Garmin mount. It's a quarter turn style Garmin mount, very common on the market. It's really great that Magicshine doesn't use proprietary mounts, instead uses a very general style mount. So as the name implies, it's a quarter turn, so you rotate, locks into place. You can use a ton of out in front mounts on the market or adapters that already exist. So you don't need any special mounts. On the back, you have a USB Type-C charging port, which is great to see. They finally moved on from the micro USB charging cables. And this also lets you do a fast charge. So you can take advantage of the higher power rates of a USB Type-C, and you can also charge other devices. So with 10,000 milliamps here, this can be a power bank for other devices. So that's great when you're not riding. You can actually take advantage of the light. Now in terms of the interface, pretty simple. It's a one-button interface. As with a lot of Magicshine lights, there are too many modes. You can run this with the right LED, left LED, dual, or flash. And with each of them, you get 4 different intensities, so quite a few options. Now, the light has a lockout mode, which is new to Magicshine 2. So if you hold the light, or when you first receive it, you'll see it has this flash in red. To disable this mode, this is great for transportation, so it won't accidentally turn on. To enable or disable it, you just hold the button, and you'll see the color will change. So you hold it for about 8 seconds. You can see now it shows the battery status. So as with a lot of Magicshine lights, if you ever want to check the battery status, you just click, and it will show you green, red, or flashing red. And that's a nice feature. You're not going to be surprised when you run out of battery, as there's no runtime display or other LEDs. So before you ride, go click the light, and then go charge it if you need to before you ride. Now the interface is pretty simple. You hold the button to turn it on, and then as I mentioned, you can run it in different modes. So double click, you'll see you have flash modes. You have the right LED, left LED, and then dual with them both on. And then within each mode, you can do a single press and go through eco, low, medium, and high settings. So 4 intensities, and then it just cycles through. We would have liked to see a 2-button interface like you have on the Ray 2600 or the ambient light sensor, but instead the RN is more focused on just raw power. So you get 3000 lumens and a very compact form factor. Now let's take a look at the light output of the RN3000. There are 3 primary modes here: the left LED only, right LED only, and dual. And as you can see, the left and right are slightly different, but they're very hard to tell apart. If you look closely, you'll see the left one's a little bit more of a spot beam with a more focused light, while the right one is more diffuse, and as you can see from the reflector, it ends up with a softer light instead of that more high temp center beam. And in dual mode, you get a little bit of both. Now, unlike the Ray 2600 or other more commuter lights, this is much more of a trail light, and you can see that from the side angle. There's quite a bit of glare top and bottom, despite those horizontal deflectors. So this is something you want to tilt down if you're doing a lot of road riding, or use a lower setting. Now, speaking of settings, there's a lot of them. There's 16 different modes here. You can run eco, low, medium, high for each of the settings, and that's the left only, right only, dual, and then flash modes. The jumps and lumens are quite large, and you can see in high mode for either the left or right, you get the 1500 lumen and an impressive 4-hour runtime. So thanks to the large battery pack of the RN3000, this is definitely a light that you won't have to charge very often. And the runtimes and lumens jump quite a bit. Eco mode is quite dim, while medium and high are something you're more likely to use in the darker trails. Dual mode is also nice, and even though the GoPro doesn't do a great job at nighttime shots, it has a nice wide even beam and a lot of power here. So even in the 1500 lumen mode, it's more than enough for dark trails. There are also 4 different flash modes, which is a little bit weird. You can run it all the way up to 3000 lumens. And unlike some of other Magishine's lights, the flash mode is a lot slower. So it's a little bit less obnoxious, so it's good for daytime riding if you need that additional visibility. Now let's take a look at the RN3000 on the road. As you can see here, the beam is nice and wide. It's a nice combination with spot and flood, with enough power to really cut through the night. As I mentioned earlier, the left and right modes are pretty hard to differentiate when you're actually riding, just slightly more diffused. So it's definitely easy to get lost in them. And with 16 different modes, it's very easy to get lost in the current mode you're in. We do like the higher modes, like the medium and the high, as they really light up the road. And with the RN3000's less focused beam, it's also great for off-roading. As you can see here, it'll light up the trail. And with up to 3000 lumens, you can really do some long rides with almost over 2-hour runtime. As you can see, Magicshine offers everything from the more fun-sized commuter lights like the Allty 400, all the way up to 8000 lumen trail riding lights with the wired battery pack. You can see the Allty 400 is actually very similar to the RN3000. It's almost the same light, just double it, with a lot more power. Same Garmin mount, same port on the back, same aluminum body, minimal graphics, and the 1-button interface here with the battery status checker. The RN3000 does have the lockout mode, which the Allty 400 does not. So that's a new feature to the headlights that we'll probably see in a lot more of their products. So if you want a lot of power, you go with the RN3000. If you just want something small, compact, obviously the Allty 400 is a good option. The Alltys also come in some bigger variations like the 1000. A third of the power, but the nice thing about this is it actually has a DRL. So you can actually run this during the day without running down the main battery. It would have been nice to see with the RN3000. Instead, you can use a flash mode at a low setting to reduce the battery consumption, but still be seen. Again, very similar design, but with the DRL, they've actually had to offset the lens. And that makes it less compatible with mounts, as this is nice and flat, and this one protrudes downward a bit. Now at this price point, the Allty 2000 also offers a LED screen that lets you see the runtime, current mode. That would have been really cool to see here as well, but obviously it does cost more. And this actually has a removable battery cartridge, which is a feature that would have been nice to see with the RN3000. Instead, you have to replace the whole light once the batteries are fully depleted. Otherwise similar, the Allty 2000 uses the same DRL with dual LEDs and that same protruding lens design. The other new product for Magicshine is the Ray 2600, and you can see very similar price, about $10 or $20 apart. The Ray 2600 has 400 less lumen, a smaller battery, so less runtime, and you can see it's a bit smaller. The nice thing about the Ray is it's better for commuting or road cycling, as you actually have this really nice focused light. So instead of the two LEDs being very similar, this one is very different with a beam cutoff, and then this one being more similar to a trail riding light with a cone beam. And it also has an ambient light sensor, which the RN3000 doesn't. It's one of the first times we've seen a smart sensor on their front headlights. So definitely a good option. You can see the RN3000 just more focused on trail riding and raw power. The 2-button interface on the Ray 2600 is also really nice to see, as you don't have to cycle through all the modes, and it gives you a little more flexibility. What's really impressive about the RN3000 is that 10,000 milliamp battery is actually the same size capacity as the Magicshine battery pack. So you can see this has 4 cells in it, while the RN3000 has a higher capacity, 221,750 cells. So it's quite a bit smaller than the full battery pack. The voltages are different, so this can discharge at a slower rate versus this higher capacity, smaller cells. But the nice thing is, with 3000 lumens, it's equivalent to the 902S. And you can see while the wired version of this is quite a bit smaller, as there's no battery here, you do have to add this big chunky battery pack to the wired setups, which is a lot less convenient. So if you're a commuter or want something just less bulky, the RN3000 is a great option. And although it is big, it's not quite as big as the Monteer. So if you're really into trail riding and want a ton of light, this is actually a great combination. You could combine the two, the 8000 lumens on your handlebar, and then you can potentially helmet mount this and get that additional 3000 lumen. Now let's go over the pros and cons for the RN3000. What we like about it is that it has a compact form factor. You don't need a wired battery pack. Instead, you have a nice all-in-one design. You also have a 3-level battery status checker, which is a great way to double check the battery status before you start riding. It also has impressive output with 3000 lumens, despite the commuter style design. Some of the cons for the light is the fact that there's no DRLs. You have to use the eco mode or a flash mode if you want daytime visibility. It doesn't run down the battery. It also lacks a runtime display screen, which is something that would be nice at this price point. And finally, there's a minimal difference between the left and right LED modes. So it just adds the number of output modes, and they're really hard to differentiate when you're riding. Taking everything into account would give the RN3000 a 9.0 out of 10. It's a very powerful all-in-one light. Thanks for watching this review. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can see more content from us on our website at thesweetcyclist.com, as well as follow us on Instagram at thesweetcyclist. This is The Sweet Cyclist reminding you to enjoy the ride.